Well, hello there my friends, and welcome back to Conan Exiles in the Age of Heroes. Today is just another video for you, where today we're going to talk about how to make friends in Conan Exiles. And when I'm referring to friends, what I mean is how we tame thralls, as they are called in the game, from being NPCs out in the world to NPCs that can become our friends that can work for us. And these can be crafters for your crafting stations, entertainers to help you remove corruption when you gain any in certain areas of the game, and also fighters and archers to either accompany you out on your adventure or to defend your base. So hopefully in this guide we'll answer all the questions that you have related to Thrall Taming, as it's called in game. So stick with us on this journey, and hopefully by the end you'll know how to go out into the world, find the people that you're looking for, make them your friends, turn them into your friends, and then have lots of fun with the game. So let's start at the very beginning. What are thralls? Well, thralls are human NPCs that you will find throughout the Exile Lands and the Isle of Sipta at various different camps in different locations around the map. And you'll find a variety of archers, fighters, crafters, entertainers, bearers, priests for your altars, and these will all have different varying stats depending on where you find them, because they are divided into what you may want to call tribes or factions or groups, whatever you want to call them. And the very first people you will encounter when you first start the game, so all along New River and around this area, are what we call the Exiles. So they're your very early game people that you will encounter, and they can have very low HP and very low damage numbers as to the kind of damage they can do. And there's lots of different ones. And then you come up to your second tribe as you start to come a little further in, which are the Defari, who again are located around the New River a little bit as well, in a large camp here, and then at various little camps dotted around here until you get up to this location here, where you've got the summoning place, which is the, if you will, Defari headquarters, where there's a lot more of them in there. I will show you that at the end of this video. And then the further up you go, you get more factions like Dogs of the Desert over in the middle. Then you get your relic hunters over at Sepa-Maru. Then as you get more into the Highlands, which is a higher, harder stage of the game, you've got your Nordheimers and your Cimmerians, which hit like a truck. And then you've got the Volcano, which is the hardest zone in the game, which has your votaries or votaries of Skelos, if you want to call them that, who are the, at this time in Age of Heroes, the hardest hitting follower that you can get, but they're also the hardest one to get hold of at the moment. So when you start out on New River, I've got some examples just to kind of show you what you can potentially get and why they're kind of good to get hold of, and then you gradually progress further up and then towards end game and some extras as well. Some of these people are what we call named fighters or crafters as well, and your named fighters are what are classed as tier 4 fighters or archers. And the way it will work is you have your fighter level 1, fighter level 2, fighter level 3, and then your, instead of level 4, they will be a named person. So just for example here, we've got 2 named people here. The young lady on the left is the Cannibal Brute, which is an almost 100% guaranteed spawn at the summoning place, and also you do have a chance of getting them outside the very first dungeon just down here, which again can be quite tough early on. And they are what you call your tier 4 Defari fighter. So if we just take a quick look at her stats there, as you can see, they have a health bar at the bottom and then the XP bar of what they can earn, and their stats on the left with their percentage chances to grow in each particular stat. If they have a bigger number in strength than agility in the base numbers, then that's what you can go for by a guide. And then with your percentage, if they have, say, a 100% chance to gain strength but only a 50% chance to gain a point in agility, they're more likely to gain that point in strength, and vice versa if it's agility. And then the same also applies to the vitality perk, which is the third one down, and then grit, which is essentially their armor value. So the more grit they have, the more armor they have, the more vitality they have, the more health they have. Now there was a period where the Dafari Cannibal Brutes were actually the hardest hitting NPCs in the game. This was a little while back in Age of Sorcery now, but this has now been reverted back to normal, and they are still okay early game. They don't hit half as hard as they used to do, but they're okay for an early start if you need somebody early on. Somebody who is nearby to them, who is also part of the Dafari faction, is this gentleman here, who is called Thugra. He is also a tier 4 Dafari fighter, as you can see, so he's named with a similar health pool and the stat chances. Reason why he's also a good one to get early on is his strength is pretty good as well, but he is a guaranteed spawn every time at a little camp, which I shall show you later in the video as well, so you know where to get him. So he's a pretty good one to get early on if you're looking for a decent fighter fairly early game. Him or the Cannibal Brute are two really good ones to get early on. Somebody else you can get is this lady here. Now I'm probably going to butcher some of these names in this video, so do forgive me, but I believe that is pronounced Frigga Falsehope, I believe you pronounce that. She's a named fighter and she can spawn in a place called Sinner's Refuge, which is a little cave again, not too far from Noob River. If we just try and find the right one. Where are we? Round about here, I think it is. Yep, there we go, Sinner's Refuge. I'll also take you there so you know what it looks like later in the video as well. She has a chance to spawn either outside or inside there. Not a guaranteed spawn, but she has a chance to spawn. And there are other named fighters similar to her that can spawn as well. So she's another okay fighter early game if you get hold of her. You can see her stats there and then her percentage chances. The stat numbers on NPCs will always stay the same of whatever they are from the faction you get them, but the percentage chance for their leveling up percentage will always be different no matter who it is. You may get yourself a Frigga Falsehope again a second time and her percentages may be different again because those numbers will change. She's another possible one. And the last one, sort of from the exile side of things and sort of Dafari, is this person here that you'll see in medium armor. This is Tessa the Blade, and Tessa the Blade is one of quite a few, both female and male, again named fighters, but when you see these down on Noob River, as I'll show you later on, these are what we call a one skull boss. And even though they have a one skull under their health bar, they are actually tameable, so you can actually knock these out. These are the only one skull bosses in the game that you can actually tame and turn into your friends, but you'll see those wandering about on Noob River at various locations as well, typically wearing the basic light armor as you see here. Once again, fixed stats on the left, but then different percentage chances on the right. And obviously a little bit more health than your basic exiles, but still not great, but possibly a good starter until you can get hold of yourself a Cannibal Brute or a Thugra. So they're just some really early ones. So if you're just starting out and you've just got into friend making, or Thrall Taming as it's called, which is at level 10, so you will need to be level 10 to unlock Thrall Taming, which is something that you can do as you progress through your leveling up early game. Various different things here that you can unlock. You can unlock Thrall Taming, wrong one, start again. If we scroll down, there we are, level 10 what you'll do is you'll unlock Thrall Taming there, which you will see gives you the lesser wheel of pain, as it's called, or the lesser wheel of friendship, as we like to call it. Plus it'll give you the very basic truncheon, the fibre bindings, and then the thrall pot, which is kind of useful in some cases now, but not necessarily so much at the moment, but you don't need to worry about that one too much. The key ones you're looking for there is the wheel and then the truncheon and the bindings. So then you can go out and get yourself one of these people. And again, this whole system works as you go up through the game. When you sort of reach what I'm calling mid-tier, so you've leveled up quite a bit and you're at least level 30, level 40, and you can get to some of these higher areas like Sepa-Maru, City of the Relic Hunter, which is where you get your Relic Hunter faction from. Now there's two different types of Relic Hunters. You have the regular Relic Hunters, which is these ones here, and then the Relic Hunter Treasure Seeker, who are the tier 4 equivalent to the Relic Hunter faction, so they are your essentially named Relic Hunters, if you will. Both the normal Relic Hunters and these can be seen in this same clothing. However, if you spot a tier 3 archer or fighter in Sepa-Maru, you'll most likely see them wearing the heavy chest piece, as you can see there, as opposed to the normal Relic Hunter clothing. So if you see someone wearing that, that will typically mean that they are a tier 3, or it could be a tier 4, one of the two named archers that spawn in there, known as Lisa O the Longbow, and I'm probably going to butcher this name as well, Mandugal 100 Arrow, I think it's pronounced. They are two named female archers that have a chance to spawn in Sepa-Maru. Again, they're not guaranteed, but they have a chance, and they can sometimes be seen with this appearance as opposed to this one. But again, if you get yourself a tier 3 Relic Hunter from Sepa-Maru, that's potentially what you're looking at stat wise. And you can see with these guys that they are agility based, so they have a higher chance of leveling up in agility rather than strength. But again, you can see the health pool on them is much higher than the health pool on a Defari, and certainly even much higher than a basic Exile. Then if you look around, or you get into the wine cellar dungeon, which is a lot harder to do, but if you have a look around the unnamed city, you'll see little locations where some of these Relic Hunters are located. There are also Relic Hunter Treasure Seekers now in the Silver Mine dungeon at the very beginning, so it's not too tough in there, but again, you would need to be a bit better prepared and some okay armour, or a decent friend like a Thugra or a Cannibal Brute that could help you go in there, or even your tier 3 Relic Hunter to get hold of one of these. And if you can knock one of these out, again, these come in male and female just as the basic tier 3 Relic Hunters do. And they are agility focused once again, but rather than 15 in agility, as you can see, they come with 20. So slightly better again, slightly higher on their damage and slightly better on their health pool. And again, these guys will pretty much see you through mid game, probably towards end game as well, but there are other people who can hit even harder still than these, but they just give you an idea of what to expect. And then as we get more into late game, that's where things start to get a little bit more interesting, but we'll come back to that in just a second. So let's take a look at how we train these new people from being an NPC in the world to being our friend. So as you can just see behind me here, you can make out this wheel, which is the first wheel that you unlock with your Thrall Taming journey, or friend maker journey as we like to call it. And if we take a look at it, as you can see, I've just got this on a platform here. You don't have to have it on a platform, but if you play on official servers or servers with a decay time, I do recommend that you put it on foundations, because then it won't decay as quick. If you just pop it on the ground, it will have a shorter decay timer, so it will decay and disappear a lot quicker. But if we interact with this wheel, as you can see, huge inventory space, which is pointless for it because we don't need all that space. But you'll also notice at the top right of that middle menu there are two people showing up. They are what we call taskmasters, who are the specific crafter that you need for these particular wheels, and what they do is they offer you a different bonus. And again, these range from level 1, level 2, level 3 up to your named taskmasters, and the named taskmasters could come with a little symbol on them, just as you see there. So the hammer symbol is durability, and then you've got another symbol which offers a different benefit as well, which I can't just remember off the top of my head, but these basically give you different bonuses. And for example, if you put a tier 1 taskmaster working at this wheel, and then you put a level 3 fighter on here, they will work on this wheel and tame into a friendly fighter for you a lot faster with a named taskmaster on there as they would without. And I'll demonstrate a little bit later on just how that works as well. And if you get yourself one of our next friends that we're going to take a look at, which is a Sumerian Berserker, who are big fan favourites of a lot of people, me included, and one of the hardest hitting thralls or friends in the game. Funcom have actually changed it now that the times for friend taming is a lot different. But if you put a knocked out Sumerian Berserker onto this wheel without a taskmaster, it will take 60 minutes to turn from an unfriended friend to a friend. But if you have a named taskmaster on here, it will take approximately 22 minutes now. And a little while back, a good few months ago, it used to be if you put a Berserker on here on a Monday, they wouldn't be ready till Tuesday, but now it's a lot quicker and a lot more efficient. So this is your basic wheel to start out with, and you can only put one friend on here at a time, so you'd need a couple of these if you get lucky and get a couple of good friends early on, or you'd have to wait before you go and get another one, because you can only have one at a time. Then as you progress your friend maker journey and you level up and you're leveling up your journey, you can also then unlock this wheel, which again is the same thing with the taskmasters on there, the large inventory space, but the difference in this wheel is you can have up to 4 people on this wheel at one time. And again, with a taskmaster you'll get a reduction in taming time, but this can take 4 as opposed to 1. And then when you max it out and you get to the top tier of your friend maker journey, you can unlock this huge wheel here, which if we take a look at this, exactly the same again, but the only difference this time is this can hold 8 people on it at a time. So there are 4 bars on this one, if you want to call it that, and you can have 2 people pushing each bar at the same time. And we'll demonstrate this a bit later in the video just so you can see how it works. But essentially what they will do is push it round in a circle and the timer will tick down, and eventually they will disappear off the crafting list at the bottom right there, but they'll still be in the list in the middle in the inventory of the wheel. So if they've gone off the bottom right but they're in the middle, that means they're ready. If they're still showing on the list down at the bottom right, then they're not ready. Not only do you need a taskmaster for these wheels though, when you pop a friend in here, as you'll see later, you also need a fuel or a food, shall we say, to make it work, and that is gruel, which is a very simple thing to make, which again, when we do a demonstration of the taming process, I'll show you just how that works as well and how you obtain it. So that is your 3 friendship wheels that you can unlock, or as another fellow creator would call them, the job center pluses. So you've got your very basic job center there, your bigger one for more recruits, and then your job center plus that can fit the most on. So while you're also working along with your friend maker journey, another thing you will need is the torturer's workbench, as it's called, or the friendship bench as we like to call it. And as you can see, there's lots of different bits and pieces on here. And just to give you some examples, the very first truncheon you'll unlock is the very basic truncheon, which you craft in your own character's inventory. And then as you level it up, you can then get the iron truncheon, then the steel truncheon, and you've also got some different ones that you can get as well. When you get the recipe for it and you have a crafter or a friend on here, you can also get the heavyweight truncheon, which is pretty good on the concussive damage. There's also another truncheon available which isn't actually available at this moment in time at the time of this video, but that you can get from the Headhunter event that is usually around. That event has just finished at the time of this video, but there is a truncheon known as the Tiger's truncheon and also some bindings called the Dead Woman's Tresses, which both have ridiculous amounts of durability on them. Those who have been playing that event and have got a few of those will know what I'm talking about, but I haven't shown those ones here because they're not relevant at the moment as we can't get hold of them. But they are very, very good. I think it's something like 6,000 durability on the truncheon and something like 20 or 30,000 durability on the bindings, but unfortunately they're not available, as I say, at the time of this video. But your very basic bindings, your fibre bindings, you make with some plant fibre, and then you've got your leather and rawhide bindings, which you need leather or thick leather for, and then you get your chain bindings, which are made from iron, I believe it is. On your bench here, nope, steel, sorry. So yeah, if you want to make your chain bindings, if you've got a tier 4 crafter around, you can make the chain bindings, which have a lot more durability than your basic bindings as well. But also another fun truncheon you can get hold of if you get lucky is Cess truncheon. Now this is a legendary truncheon, so this cannot be repaired, so once it breaks, it breaks. And Cess truncheon is obtainable from the wine cellar dungeon in Sepa-Maru. When you first go into the wine cellar, Seth is the first little mini boss you'll come up against, and he has a chance to drop his truncheon. It's not guaranteed, but you do have a chance to get it, and when you do, it's a lot better than a lot of these basic truncheons. It's still not as good as the Tiger truncheon, but it's a chance, and you'll do a lot more concussive damage with that as opposed to using the very basic one. But those are your basic friendship making tools that you'll need early on. And very early, like I say, you'll have the basic truncheon and the basic fibre bindings, which will do the job, but as you progress you can upgrade to some slightly better ones that will help you a bit more in the future. So that is our equipment for going out making friends. So where can we go to get some really good friends? Let's have a look. Right, so here we are down on New Privy. You can just see our friend there walking away in the distance. I am cloaked and in god mode for this video, so he's not going to attack me. But this is one little spot where you can get one of these guys from. There's also another little bit just across here where they fight two shalebacks. There is one up in this area, I believe it is, somewhere that you can watch out for. And there's another one if you go just under the bridge and around this corner up on the little ridge here that you can get, but this is one of the easy ones to get. These guys do hit pretty hard still, so bear that in mind, because they are essentially a one skull boss. If I put my name tags back on a second so that you can see, he has the yellowy orange line around his health bar and then the one skull underneath. That means he is a one skull boss. As you can see there, he only has a stone sword, but that can still hurt you pretty hard. And again, that's the medium armor, is that, or the light armor that he's wearing, and this can be male or female, and you can either knock them out and kill them, or you can hit them with your truncheon to knock them out. So that's what this particular person looks like. I'll show you the actual knocking out process on somebody a bit higher value than these, but this is what they look like. So there's another one, which is the Defari. Right then, so as I showed earlier, one of the guaranteed Defari tier 4 fighter spawns, which is Thugra, as you can see here, see him stood here. He is always here in this spot, and as you can see where I am just on the map just here, up at a little camp called Thugra Stand. And if I zoom out on the map, just so that you can kind of see where we are, we're here, just a little north of the summoning place, which we'll visit in a moment to show you where the cannibal brute comes from, but this is where he comes from. And if we take a look around, he's down on that little ridge. As you can see, he's quite far back from the main camp, so if you were to come into this camp, if you come up from this side here, summoning place is just across there, which we'll go over to in a moment, but as you can see where I'm here, if you come in from here and attack this camp from here, take those guys out, take all of these guys out, and kill all of these. You do have a jailer here now as well, for the cage which is here. So if there is somebody in the cage, you can now rescue them. If there is somebody in there, this is empty at the moment, but if you kill this guy here, who actually looks like a cannibal brute, but he's not. He's actually a jailer, and this can be a female as well, but again, modelled to look like the cannibal brute. These guys are not tameable, so you can't knock these out. So you have to kill them, and they'll drop a key that you can use to open this cage. But if you take all of these guys out, Thugra, who is across there, if you do it right, won't hear what's going on. So you'll be able to come across here and knock him out. But word of advice, if you are going to try and knock him out, try and draw his aggro from here, get him to come in here, because if you try and knock him out here, if he goes too far back, he's going to fall off there and either take too much damage, or if you did manage to deliver a blow that knocks him out, he could fall down there and disappear under the mesh, so pull him away from the edge a little bit. But he's not too tough, and he's fairly easy to get hold of early game, and he is a guaranteed spawn, as I say. Now if we hop back across here, go around this corner here, sorry, ignore the banner popping up, that's just because of the server. But if you get yourself up here, so you come up from Noob River, from here, you'll get yourself to this big huge place where you'll hear this strange noise coming from. You'll have to fight all of these guys, so you need to be a bit more prepared for a fight in this area. But you can come up into here, you'll have to fight all of these. There is a book just on the floor there that you can interact with that will teach you an emote. You have to fight your way through all of these guys or knock them out if you've got somebody with you already, but you can either kill or knock out all of these. There is a jailer in here again, because you have a cage in here, so here's one cage, and that person back there is your jailer. But if you take a right again and go up these stairs, you'll have a sorcerer that can be male or female stood here, and here is your cannibal brute, which again can be male or female. Now this isn't quite always a guaranteed spawn. There can occasionally be a tier 3 Defari fighter here, but more often than not you will find it is the cannibal brute, but this is one spawn where they can be. Give you a quick run through here as we're going through, just so you can kind of see who else there is as well. You've got your sorcerer there as well, some more fighters and archers here. This can be a Defari witch doctor, which essentially is a named alchemist, which is really good to get early game as well, so you can come and get them from here. Defari witch doctor, again male or female, knock them out relatively easily as well if you deal with the people that are around them. They are a named tier 4 alchemist, or it can also be a Yogg priest, because this is the Yogg religion that the Defari follow, but really good named alchemist to get early game. You'll have somebody else there, you'll have more people there to deal with. But if you come up these stairs, now this can be a little bit more tricky, because you can have a fighter or somebody sat in the middle here. This can also be a tier 4 dancer called Ancina Hidden Daggers, so she can spawn there as well if you get lucky. And again you've got another cage, and then this is the jailer at the moment, so I don't know if Ancina Hidden Daggers would actually spawn here now, but this might always be the jailer. She could spawn in one of the other spots possibly, but she used to be able to spawn here, but this now might have changed for the jailer. But there's your jailer once again. You've got your sorcerer, who can be a 1, 2, 3 or a named one again. And then laying down over here, if they're spawned again, can be a male or female tier 4 cannibal brute, so that's your 2 spots in here for your 2 named cannibal brutes, which are your tier 4 fighters. Can be a little tougher in here, so don't come up here too. I certainly won't come up here with stone weapons. I'd wait till you got at least iron, probably, or if you got lucky and got something a bit better than that with some okay damage, because you can get swarmed quite easily in here, and if you're not prepared, it's not very pleasant. But if you want to get yourself a guaranteed person with not too much effort at first, then personally I'd head over to Thugger's stand and go and knock him out and get him back to your wheel. So that is your Defaris. Right, so apologies for this. Do ignore this glitch that looks like it's happening at the moment. It seems to be that although I've got bindings in my hand and got this guy on some bindings, it seems to be invisible, which is quite funny. But once you've knocked out your person with your truncheon, this doesn't matter what level they are, whether you're starting out at the very beginning with your basic truncheon, or if you're an endgame player that does this and knows what you're doing, and you've attached your person onto your bindings and you've got them back to your base, you need to pop them in your wheel. So if we pop our friend in the wheel, as we can see, he's now in there, and you can see he's stood there, not even moving. So if we interact with the menu and then we try and get this thing to move, we can't press play, it won't move. That's because we're missing something. We need a food or something in there to allow it to work, and the very basic one to use is gruel. So how do we get gruel? So how do we make gruel? Well, gruel is very, very easy to make. All you need to do is obtain yourself some plant fibre and some seeds, which you can either do by picking bushes like this by hand, or if you've got a sickle, even if it's only a basic iron sickle. If we do that a few times and then we go back to our wheel, what we will need is a campfire. It doesn't matter what sort of campfire you've got, even if it's a little one like this, with some wood, and then we want seeds and plant fibre. And then if we hit the button to press play, as you'll see, the campfire will come on, and as you can see down the bottom right there, that is producing gruel for us. So depending on how many seeds and how much plant fibre that you have will depend on how much gruel you can do. Now it doesn't matter if you make too much of this, because not only can you use gruel in your wheel for taming people, this will also work as a healing and leveling food for your friend as well. So all you do is pop a stack of this in their inventory and it will give them a healing. I believe it's like 10 points of healing per thing. I could be wrong on that, but it gives them a little heal as they level up. But the other thing is you can give it to them so they'll eat as they're fighting and they'll heal, but also they'll get a small bonus to their strength boost. So if we pop that in there, now we hit play, and as you can see he starts turning the wheel. So no matter who you put in here, if I click on this, you can see him crafting away there now on the very bottom right corner. So once he is tamed, he'll disappear off that menu. You won't see him on the wheel, but he'll be in the wheel's inventory menu there, and of course the wheel won't be turning anymore. So he's going to take a little while to do, even though he's only a low level. So we'll leave him turning away, and then we'll go take a look at another particular crafter who is out there in the world, that, as we've already alluded to, which is the Taskmaster. And how do we identify a Taskmaster if we find one out in the world? Yeah, you can see our friend taming away there in the background, but as you can see I've just got two examples of two young ladies here. Again, these are both Taskmasters. Now they are named Taskmasters, and all around the map at various camps have chances of spawning different Taskmasters. They will have different names if they're a named one, and again they can be both male and female. And typically, no matter what camp you go to, if you spot somebody wearing this particular clothing that these young ladies are wearing, this is the Hyperborean Slaver, I believe it's called, then that means you've got yourself a Taskmaster. They can spawn all around the map, but there are also a couple of locations, 3 locations even, in Sepa-Maru, City of the Relic Hunter, where it's always a guaranteed Taskmaster. It's not always a guaranteed named one, but it can be any of the different tiers, and again, male or female. So what I'll do in a moment is I'll take you over to Sepa-Maru and show you where these guys spawn, because the sooner you could get hold of a Taskmaster for your wheel, it'll just cut down your friend taming time even more so. And if you can get hold of a named one eventually, even better still. But also you get that added bonus to the chain bindings on your friendship table as well. But that's just 2 examples here of these young ladies. You can see their names there. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce their names because knowing my luck I'll just totally butcher them. But that's one lady, as you can see there, and that's the other one. These are 2 of the ones that can be named ones that can spawn in Sepa-Maru. There is a named male, I believe, that can spawn in Sepa-Maru possibly, and I think if I'm correct his name is Leo the Monster, if that's the right one I'm thinking of. But we'll pop over there and I'll show you where they can spawn. And obviously they're in the same city that, as we just discussed slightly earlier, these guys can spawn. Your relic hunters, not your relic hunter treasure seekers, your normal relic hunter faction. But then as you kind of progress a little bit further, if you head up towards an area called Mounds of the Dead in the Highlands, which is up here, you reach another faction called the Cimmerians, and the Cimmerians are probably one of, or if not certainly one of the toughest factions in the game. They're one of the hardest hitting tribes in the game. They've got some of the highest HP in the game, and they're pretty much a fan favourite of most people. One named person that you can get that is a guaranteed spawn, that is the Cimmerian Berserker. They have a couple of spots up there, but one that is always a guaranteed spawn that I'll show you later on. And again, this can be male or female, and will typically be seen wearing this outfit, which is the Cimmerian Steel. And if we take a look at them, as you can see, a lot higher health, random percentage chances again, but their strength and health numbers are a lot higher, and they are strength based fighters. Another named fighter who is also part of the Cimmerian faction, but is unfortunately not a guaranteed spawn but does have a few spawn locations, is the young lady stood next to him there, who is a very big fan favourite of a lot of people I know, myself included, Miss Delincia Snowhunter. Although she's not a guaranteed spawn, as you'll see once again, the random percentage chances for levelling in the different stats, and the same strength and vitality bonuses. But if you look at her base health at level 0, and then the Berserker's base health at level 0, it's about 300 odd HP, which isn't a huge amount, but you will agree that she comes out of the box, or off the wheel as they say, with slightly more HP than a Cimmerian Berserker. But her downside is she isn't a guaranteed spawn, so whenever you manage to get yourself hold of one of these, you're extremely lucky. I would say look after her, give her a good weapon, give her some good armour, because with her by your side you can take on anything, as with any of these guys. But your top 2 at the moment really, or certainly my 2 favourite tier 4 fighters in the game, are your Cimmerian Berserker and Delincia Snowhunter. Now she's wearing the coarse clothing top there, as you can see, and then the Cimmerian fur, which is a medium armour for the bottom half. Reason why I've had to give her the coarse top for this is because this is YouTube, and obviously we've got to keep things clean. But you'll know if you spot Delincia, not just by her appearance with her hair and everything like that, but she's one of not very many NPCs that actually spawn completely topless, shall we say. So if you see someone sat somewhere or walking around with that appearance, wearing the veneer not veneer, Cimmerian fur bottom half with no top on. It's more than likely Delincia, so get her knocked out and make her your friend and you'll be on to a winner definitely. But then while you're out and about exploring, it's not only fighters that are also okay to get hold of. Again, as I mentioned earlier, you can get hold of archers as well, and you can get those from all around the map as well, including some named ones. And a guaranteed male named archer is this gentleman here, who is Dunaman the Dragoon, I believe his name is pronounced. He is part of the Dogs of the Desert, I think. I could be wrong on that one, but he spawns up at the den, which is up here on the far left side. There is a sort of a raised platform where you'll find him stood with a couple of other fighters or archers. He's a guaranteed spawn, so he'll always be there in the same spot. Really, really good, pretty fast leveler, just as the Defari. Hits pretty hard as well, so he's a pretty good, decent, any level archer to have. Even if you don't want to take him out and about in the world with you, he's certainly a very good purge-based defender, or even a main-based defender if you want to have him up on the archer posts. Stick him in some good armour again, get him levelled up with some good agility stats, because he is a very, very good archer. So you'd want to build on his agility, so he's guaranteed. And then another young lady, this is not Freya unfortunately, for all those big Freya fans. We're not able to obtain her as a friend in this way anymore, but her twin, or counterpart if you want to call her that, is Dina Master Huntress, that is an archer. She is found within the Highlands, and she's a Nordheimer, I believe. So you can see there again, she's another strength-based archer. So like the fighters, decent health pool, decent strength, and the random chances for levelling up again. Pretty good to have hold of this one. She's another guaranteed spawn, as I say, up in the Highlands. I'll show you all of these at the end of this video. If you come up to the Great Dam here and you look at the base of this pillar, you'll see her kind of wandering around where there's a couple of wolves and what have you. But she's always down there unless somebody else has just taken her. But she's a guaranteed spawn once again. So two very decent archers there if you want a couple of archers, either for a companion to follow you out and about in the world, or as base defenders. These are two of my favourites as well that I wanted to recommend. But if you're feeling brave and you've got to endgame and you've got all the gear you need, so you've got your cold weather gear to get you up in the snow, which you'll need. So this is more for people who are at endgame now as a little bonus. But then you've also got your hot weather gear to help you keep cool in the volcano, because you will need to do so. This is really only for experienced players now. Don't attempt this too early on, because you just won't survive the cold or the heat of the volcano. But the votaries people, especially the named fighters from the volcano, I've just got a couple of them here just to show you for example. But if you feel like you can get up to the volcano, have a look out for these two particular guys. I didn't get a chance to get their damage modifiers before this video, but apparently from what I'm hearing, these particular tier 4 fighters from the volcano are the hardest hitting people at the moment, potentially harder than the Berserker and Delincia, but not the easiest to get hold of. And again, it also depends whether they've spawned or not, because I believe they're not always a guaranteed spawn. But just for an extra there, if you're feeling up to it, two of a few, there's quite a few of the named ones that can spawn up there, but these are two particulars that you could keep an eye out for if you're at endgame and up for a challenge. Right, so when the real work starts and you're off out here, I'll put my hands on the dead. Nobody's attacking me at the moment because again I am cloaked and in god mode for this video, but if you're up here at Mounds of the Dead, if I zoom in you can just see where I am on the map, up on Chaos Hill or Death Hill or Deadly Mountain, whatever you want to call it. People have different names for this place. All of these guys will attack, but this is again one of the new locations for a cage, and you can get a barkeep from here, and the person you will be wanting to kill is this guy sat here. It can be a female as well, and the model for the female is based off Delincia, so don't get confused if you see what looks like Delancey sat here. It may not be, it may be the jailer. So I'll be very mindful of that. As I say, got a jailer up here. Delancey isn't here this time. You've got a fighter. This one's always a bearer. And then you've always got somebody stood here talking to them. As I say, these guys will all attack straight away. And you would obviously head up here from this ramp here. All of this area is all hostile, so again, only come up here if you're absolutely prepared for it, because these guys hit pretty hard. That can be Delancey, I believe, as a wandering spawn. People have seen him in the past if you come down here, where she can come walking down there as well. There are one or two places she can spawn in some of the various mounds around here as well. And she can also spawn at a little camp just sort of northeast of here, Stargazer's Crest. She can spawn there as well. So if she's not spawned there and she's not in here anywhere, then maybe come back and check, because she's bound to spawn at some point, but she can be wandering or at one of the static spawns or up there if you get lucky, but that's going to be rather tricky to deal with. You really want a berserker or somebody else that's already fully leveled in really good gear with a decent truncheon to go up there for you to knock everybody out and then kill the jailer. Otherwise you might have some problems. But if you're coming in from the obelisk, which is just over there, you want to run across the water here with the chaos bit to your left. And if we run around here up over this little lip, you'll notice in this pool of water here we have this person who patrols in and around this area, over that way slightly, and they can wander this way a little bit as well. But as you can see, Sumerian Berserker, and again this can be male and female, always guaranteed here, this will always be a Sumerian Berserker. Sometimes they will wander up here a little bit and they can aggro one of the skeletons, and very occasionally I have known one of these whites, as they're called, so the white and blue skeletons, to actually kill the Berserker. So just be mindful of that if you're coming up here looking for them. But this area will always be a guaranteed Sumerian Berserker. These guys will attack. If you're down here, they will spot you straight away and they will try and hit you. Try and do it with a shield if you have a shield at least, or another good well armoured friend with you, because these guys hit really hard. So that is your guaranteed spot for your Sumerian Berserker. So we're going to finish up this part just by quickly showing one of the spots where there are pretty much guaranteed taskmasters. There are probably other spots around the map that you can get to, but if you manage to make your way over to the far west side of the map, if you come up from New River and you've come up this way along past the unnamed city, which I would avoid early game especially as well, and you've got yourself up here to this gate here, you're coming through that gate and you'll find here 2 fighters and a taskmaster. Once again, can always be male or female, and you can have apprentice, journeyman or master, or a taskmaster 3, or one of the named ones if they spawned. But this is a guaranteed taskmaster spawn, so this spot here will always be a taskmaster, various different levels and male and female, but this one is guaranteed. Now most of this city, 95% of it is friendly, meaning they will not attack you if you're wandering through here. There are a couple of areas with the bandits in them, which are enemies that will aggro straight away, but these guys are all passive unless you attack them first. So what you could do here is, if you've unlocked your Thrall Taker journey and done that, and you've made the purple lotus orbs, you could throw one of those at these to take these out. But to be quite honest, if you've already dealt with that person at the gate, you're only going to have these 3 to knock out, so you could just try and knock them all out and then kill these 2 and then grab the one that's there. They shouldn't aggro from the next gate, but they can do if you're not careful, so just be mindful of that. But that's the first of 3 locations in Sepa-Maru that is guaranteed for a taskmaster. So I'll show you that there, as you can see on the map where we are. So then if we carry on in through this gate here, as I say, none of these will attack unless you attack them first. Lots and lots of different spawn locations for various crafters, and again these can be any tier, 1, 2 or 3 are also named. Not going to go through these in this video because it'll be too long otherwise, but if you would like an updated Sepa-Maru guide of all the different crafter spawns, let me know in the comments down below, and that's certainly something we can look at in the future, because there are quite a lot of spawns which share different spawns with each other, and there are also some that are guaranteed to always be specific ones. But rather than cover those now in this video, as I say, if you want an updated guide for Sepa-Maru, let me know down below. This is a bit more tricky because you've got these two people surrounding this one, and those guys from behind would aggro as well, so the purple lotus orbs will be ideal here. But this, as you can see once again, is a guaranteed taskmaster again. This middle spot will always be a taskmaster again. Don't quite know why they're standing cheering at a door, but there we go. But this spot here, again, spot number 2 for a guaranteed taskmaster. A little bit trickier than the first gate that we just showed there. But then if we carry on, we work our way up into the market square, or marketplace if you want to call it that. Up the ramp here, and you can see where I'm heading there on the map. Just heading into the west wall. You'll see this building here behind these tents. This is the prison. Again, this area is safe unless you start a fight. Typically, a lot of the time, this person here, as you can see, will be a tier 3 fighter, so you can see he's wearing the different chest piece, as we said earlier there. There'll always 3 guards here. But then you'll always have a couple of prisoners there. And you'll find this spot here, which again, guaranteed taskmaster, and it can be either of them, or it can be one of the named ladies that I showed at the beginning, or a gentleman obviously. But that's always a guaranteed taskmaster again. More fighters here, more fighters there. And your second spot here again, another 2 prisoners. And your final guaranteed taskmaster spot just here. So it's either side of the entrance. You've got 2 guaranteed taskmasters, but you're going to have a lot more people here to deal with. So be very, very mindful if you're going to take this one on. Probably go for the one at the first gate that we showed at the very beginning. For this area, unless you're going to throw a lot of purple lotus orbs everywhere that will knock people out. If you're going to come in with a truncheon, be very, very careful, because this is a lot of people to deal with, and they are quite high health in this area. So that is pretty much some of the key locations that you can get friends from. So just for this demonstration, it looks like our friend that we left on the wheel here earlier has now finished. And if I just take him, and then I pop him on my hot wheel there, yes, it's going to swap my tool around for him, but that doesn't matter. So if you place them onto your hot wheel, you can take them straight to your inventory from the wheel as well. But if I do that, as we can see, we can now place him in the world. So if we place him down, you'll then be able to hold your interact button. You'll have your stat sheet, so you can see what stats your friend has and their percentage chances of leveling. Or again, you can click their inventory here, which now gives you this menu. And your main menu that you're worried about here is the central one. Don't worry about the right hand side too much. All that is about the clothing or armor that they're wearing, and then their diet at the bottom. But in the middle menu, as you can see there, you've got their XP bar at the top, their health bar under that, then their inventory, which is where their weapon is, or any food that they would be eating that you would give them would be in that bar. And then you've got all your commands below for how you can set how your friend behaves, how they are when they're guarding, what you want them to do when they're following you, and sort of their attack or chase distances, which is how you control them. And on the right hand side there, as I say, you could remove that coarse clothing and put some proper armour on them if you so wish, like I've done with a lot of my friends here. As you can see, we've got some various different people sat here. This is one of the priests that I have, wearing their clothing that they normally wear. But again, since this new update, another cool thing that you can do with priests now is you can place them in the world. And as you can see, you can dress them up however you want, and even equip them with armour and a weapon if you like. So at one time, this priest would only be slottable onto the shrine or altar, if you want to call it that. But now, with your crafters, as of Age of Heroes, you can also place them on your hotbar and then place them on the ground as a person, just as you can your fighters, your archers and your dancers. And you can have them sitting like this, or you can have them wandering around if you've got the new living settlements enabled. And they'll either stand at the altar doing their animations that they do, or they'll go and sit somewhere and eat, or they'll go and find a bed and have some sleep. But that's how you can now use your crafters as well as your fighter friends or entertainers. Now obviously he's guarding at the moment, but if I interact with him and then hit that follow option, as you'll see, he's now following me. I can tell him to go over there, or I can hold the square button and tell him to return. So he'll now follow me. If I want him to wait, I can give him that command. Defend here, so I can say go there, so he'll run to there. Now he won't move, he's still following me, but he won't move from there for a minute unless I tell him to return. And then if I've done with him, I can pick him up, place him down, and he's now guarding. Now this guy's only a low level and he's no good to me. So another thing you can do is, if you find you get somebody and you're not happy with them and you don't like them, hold your interact button once again, and you can hit break bond, and it will say, do you wish to break bond? You click yes, and whatever is in their inventory will drop to the floor and eventually despawn. But if you were doing this with somebody that you give them good armor or food that you don't want to waste, just make sure you pick that up out of the bag again. But that principle of what we did with him in the wheel works exactly the same as I say for archers, dancers, taskmasters, your priests from your shrines, or your entertainers, whoever they are. If they are human NPCs and you knock them out with your truncheon, then attach your bindings, bring them back to your friendship wheel, pop them in your friendship wheel, wait for them to tame up, place them in the world, and then they become your new friends. So then, just as one quick side note before we can go, as I say, with crafters now you can dress them up however you like, so they don't stay in the basic course clothing or items that they came with. And as you can see, we've got our cook working away there, doing the new animation that they now do. And as you can tell, she's wearing different clothing, because if I interact with her, as you can see there on the right, she's wearing a full armor set so that she gets a bit of protection, but then she's got a fancy outfit on as well, just so that she blends in a bit more with my theme of the base that we've got. And if we take a walk into our crafting room, we have our tanner working away there, and also our armourer on the armourer's bench there. Once again, all named people, but now geared up in armour rather than just being an item that's an inventory item and then stuck onto a bench and then moved. I could now actually pick her up if I want and stand her next to me, or I could tell her to follow me, but I want her working on that bench, so I get the ghost symbol, click her in there, and she'll now stay there. Now if we re-enable the living settlements feature, which there's been a bug with at the time of this video, she'd eventually stop what she's doing and she'll wander off and go and eat or drink and sit and have a rest, or she'll go upstairs to bed and have a sleep. Well, that's just to show you, you've also now got a bit more interaction with your actual crafters as well. They're more like your fighters and archers. Your fighters, archers and entertainers will not wander around, they will still stay stationary as they are. It's just a new feature for your crafters. But that's just a quick peek at how that's now working with your crafter friends. Well, there you have it everybody, that just about does it for this one. Slightly longer probably than was intended, but hopefully that gives you enough information and gives you a basic idea of when you start making friends in the game, of how to do it and how to get them and what they're used for. We'll have a video coming up in the future, hopefully, if people want it, explaining a bit more about the different crafters and who they are and why they're beneficial to you. So if you want to see something like that, why not consider subscribing if you haven't already. If you found this one useful and helpful, do me a favour, leave a like on the video, leave a comment down below, and until I see you guys in the next one, happy taming, have fun, see you all next time. Bye for now.